Hi, I'm Connie.
And I'm Connie.
And we are Bad News Travels Fast.
What are we talking about today?
We are talking about triggers today.
Ooh.
What triggers you? What exactly is a trigger? I would say, I'm not given the definition of trigger, but I would say a trigger is an emotional response to something.
Okay.
So for example, a trigger of mine is being rushed. So if someone starts rushing me, so last week, Connie was like, come on, we need to hurry up. I was so hot about that. I was like so mad. So I don't mind necessarily being rushed if I feel like we need to be rushed. But at that moment, I felt like it wasn't necessary. So if that is happening, it's a trigger for me. So, but I realized after thinking about it, because I did feel bad that I kind of like went off on Connie a little bit. I'm so sorry. But I thought about it, and I think that I was in a relationship with someone who was controlling, and they were controlling and manipulative, and that was something they did all the time.
Like rush you?
They would rush me for no reason. Come on, man, we need to hurry up. Like, what's happening? Why are we rushing? And it was a form of control. And so I think that trauma of being in that relationship, it triggers me when someone rushes me. So that is a trigger of mine. And I did have to apologize to Connie because I was like real mad, and I probably said some things I shouldn't have said. Like, I don't know. I don't remember what I said. And not that I didn't cuss. I don't cuss. But I was like, I don't like that. Like, I was a bit aggressive when I probably could have just talked to her about it.
Yeah. And it's funny. It's, because not only was it a trigger, it was your response to the trigger. And then it was me, because I was a little teed off, and I just
was teed off.
I didn't really, so I didn't really say too much because I got to get quiet for like crazy things start popping out my mouth. But she can tell that I wasn't really feeling her because she would ask me something and I'm real short.
Yep.
You was like, oh, what, you mad at me? I'm sorry. I was
like, are you still mad? You still mad?
I get over things pretty quickly, but I needed a few moments for that one. But it happened before we recorded.
It happened right before we had to record together. So it was like, and I was even mad at myself too. Like, I went upstairs, put some lipstick on, and I was just like, I am messing up the flow of the podcast.
Like, that's why you cared about the flow of the podcast?
No, I'm saying I cared about the fact that I was making us angry in a moment where we should have had peace.
Right.
So,
well, we're going to get over it. But like, before I tell you some of my triggers, I'm going to read what an emotional trigger is. Okay. An emotional trigger is any topic that makes us feel uncomfortable. These emotional triggers are telling us which aspects in our life we might feel frustrated or unsatisfied with. As mentioned above, it can vary in each person because we are all struggling with something different. I thought that was interesting.
Very interesting.
Wow. Okay, so one of my triggers, like I might call them pet peeves, okay? And of course, this comes from my upbringing. So growing up, you have like mats and stuff in the bathroom. But when we got in the shower, my mom would dry us off before we got out. So now I dry myself off before I get out the shower, right? Because I don't like when the rug is wet. Because if I come in there and, upstairs in my house, there's carpet. So I'm not wearing my shoes upstairs or anything like that. So I come in the bathroom and guess what? The rug is wet. And then sometimes the floor is wet. Right. So guess what? My feet are wet.
Right.
And so if I'm getting back in my bed, that is such a pet peeve. Like, why you can't just dry your body off before you get out the shower?
Wow.
Why are you wetting the whole floor? And then people don't wipe it up. And then you know what people say? Hey, be careful. The floor is wet.
Well, I'm thinking that your mom dragged you off inside the tub. Mm-hmm. I don't remember my mom doing that. Okay. So I remember my mom lifting me up out of the tub and drying me off on I thought it was called like a dry carpet. What is it called? It's like a dry mat or something.
Yeah, I just call it a mat, rug, whatever you want to be.
Bath rug.
Yes.
Okay, so I don't know. Like me personally, I don't dry off inside the tub because I don't want my towel to touch a wet tub. So you got to dry your legs. You got to put the towel down. Or are you lifting your leg all the way up? Well, you do exercise. I'm like, what is happening here?
Right, but when you're drying off, like you put your feet on the top of the tub. Like I'll dry, and then when I dry my feet, I'm holding my leg up. No, one at a time. Oh. She's crazy. Who's doing it at the same time?
Okay.
Right.
One foot.
So one foot, okay. I dry my legs and I dry my feet. It's hanging over. Like I have it up in the tub. And I dry my feet and then I step one. And then I do the other one. Oh, right? Okay. Because and even with wet carpets and rugs, like they hold dirt and different things in it because it's wet and it's moist and then it sits and dries and then you wet and moist again. That's not even sanitary.
Oh, okay.
Right? Like I wash my rugs every week.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You know what I'm saying? But it's like, ew, like it's wet and stuff and then it dries. And then if you live with other people, I feel like sometimes it's a common courtesy. Like they are coming in there and it's wet and they have to step on it. So I feel like it's an adjustment and it's a pet peeve. And so like, if I have a roommate, I'm going to communicate with my roommate. Now, I'm not expecting them to totally all the way do things differently, but in any relationship, any partnership, any, roommate type of situation, you have to be cognizant of the other person, especially you share a bathroom or a common area.
But you are also breaking a habit that you may have been doing for 20 years.
Yeah. And sometimes that's challenging.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the dynamics of the bathroom. So I'm thinking that like when I walk into my bathroom, I never walk back on the dry mat because there's by the space. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's by the tub, and there's enough space for me to go around it to get to my sink or my toilet or whatever the case. So, because I'm thinking that even when I get out the shower, I dry off on the bath mat, and then I leave out the room. And then, of course, I don't want to step on that again.
Right. But what if your husband goes in to get in the shower after you? He is stepping on the wet, dry mat because you soaked it up.
Yeah. I mean, soaked up. Yeah. Okay.
You're standing on it.
But it's not soaked.
Okay. So you let all the water kind of fall off in the shower and then step on it. No, you don't.
No. So I'm not letting all the water, but as soon as I get out, I'm drying off. So, like, it's not a lot of drippage.
Right, but your feet were immersed in a tub that was
in a shower.
In a shower that was running, and the water's always at the bottom and always falling on you. So, at minimum, the spot that you put your feet on are wet. So, when he gets ready to get in the shower, it's wet.
He don't mind, thank God.
Yeah. I'm just like, And so I just take some deep breaths and I'm not going to keep talking about the same thing, but there is a compromise that goes
absolutely.
on.
In relationships.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And so, that's a good thing with triggers. Like we have them. And I think it's a good thing to talk about because what are the things that bother you? Because if we're going to make this roommate situation, this relationship work with people who have different triggers, I have to understand what they are. And sometimes I might forget because it's not a trigger to me.
Right.
Right. And so we have to do that. I have another trigger.
Lord God. What is it?
So another thing with my mom, right? So
first of all, make sure y'all dry off before you get out the tub. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
So my mother had a particular way that she liked things cleaned. And so did my dad. Like they were very, very clean people, and which makes me really clean. And so my mother used to like her sink dried out.
Right.
And I'm like, why are we doing this? But we knew better. then I have water in that sink.
Right.
So inevitably, I dry out my sink.
Okay.
And to me, it looks better, right?
It does.
And
it does look better. I agree.
It does. And so people, and then it's, you know, the thing about it is sometimes people try to accommodate me and they'll dry it out and it's still wet. So I just be like, don't worry about it.
Because they don't even know like how to do.
No.
They don't
so I just be like, I got it, and they be like, I tried. And then I think I know. Okay, yeah. So I like my sink dry. That's a pet peeve. But I get over it. I'll do it. But I don't like when people cook and they don't wipe the stove off. And they like, oh, I don't see anything. But you just made bacon. Like the grease pops.
Yeah, the grease is on the stove.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
I don't see anything. Okay. So like I was brought up like when you cook, you wipe the stove down, period. Because you never know. You don't have to see something pop out for it to be there.
I clean houses for a living. Everybody does not grow up that way.
I'm sure.
I've gone to houses where they haven't wiped their stove. Let's see. I go to most of the houses I go to is every 2 weeks. 2 weeks they haven't wiped their stove.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been 2 weeks. Yeah. So when it comes to stuff like that, I would say because of my job, I'm more merciful with people.
Yeah.
But as far as like my cleaners, like if my employees, you know, if they go and clean something and it's not done, I feel like it is a pet peeve of mine to tell you something 5 times and you still can't get it.
Yeah, that's a pet peeve of mine.
So, you know, we had talked about the toilet before. The hard plastic toilets, they'll stay wet when you wipe them, right? And so if the hard plastic ones, now a wooden toilet dries pretty quickly. There's other type material toilets that they dry kind of fast. But that hard plastic, it just stays wet the whole time. Yeah. So like you can wipe that, clean that, leave, come back 2 hours, and that toilet still has wet on it. You know what I mean?
Still have those toilets?
Yeah, the hard plastic ones. I actually like the hard plastic toilet seats because they're the easiest to clean.
Oh, so it's more convenient for you.
It's more convenient as far as being a cleaner.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if I have an employee that is continuously wiping with too much water on their rag, that triggers me like that. Like I think that I'll give a certain amount of times. Okay, I taught you 3 times. After that 3rd time, I start to wonder what's happening. That you're not remembering what I said. You know what I mean?
It could be a way that they clean their house and it's not like the way you taught them.
Yes, so it's breaking habits.
Yeah.
So like I've had cleaners come and they will come and they have a hard time cleaning the way we clean. But the issue is I've been cleaning for, let's say, 20 years, right? Yeah. I've developed things that help for the client.
Right.
It's not necessarily the way I might do my own, but it's to help the client. You know what I'm saying? Right. So the way I'm teaching you is to make sure it's done in perfection for the client. Right. You know, so you have to adjust. You can't bring your own thoughts and ideas of how you do your house. Right. Because it might take you 5 minutes to wipe your table. It needs to not take us that long. Right. Do you get what I'm saying? Yeah, but it needs to be perfect. But in a minute, not 5.
You're a little controlling.
I'm just saying, that's how you teach. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So like, for instance, I'm just giving this one example. Some people come and they circle wipe everything. Okay. Right? So we have a glass table sitting in front of us. If I circle wipe this glass rectangular shaped table, it's gonna cause me more time to wipe it. If I go 1, 2, 3, 4, it's wiped. The whole table has been wiped. Right. You get what I'm saying? So I'm saying about methods. Right. And it's hard to break those methods, especially in relationship. Like even when you get married, your spouse might put their dirty clothes on the floor next to the dirty clothes basket.
Oh, like not
inside, just right next to the dirty clothes basket.
I thought that defeats the purpose.
So what do you have to do as a spouse after you're angry all the time you see that happening? What do you need to do? Because you really don't want to break off relationships based on something that small.
Right, correct.
You know what I mean? What you do as a spouse, or even as a, let's say you're a roommate with someone in the same room. Like, let's say maybe, no, I don't want to say college, because you kind of separate your stuff, per se. But let's say you're roommates or whatever, and you're both responsible for all of the room. Mm-hmm. Me, as that roommate, I have to decide one of two things. Am I going to fuss with this person every time they do this? Or can I just go pick up those jeans and throw them in that basket? Mm-hmm. And you might even feel like you are, what do you call that? Enabling them. Mm-hmm. But they've been 25 years doing this. It's probably not going to change.
So you do it just to keep the peace.
Yes. But it can't be, there is a thing called false peace.
Yeah.
Where you're doing something just to keep the peace, but you're still angry inside.
Correct.
So you have to decide, I would say as a wife, let's assume my husband is throwing the dirty clothes on the floor next to the dirty clothes basket, right? Mm-hmm. Now, the first few times I might say, babe, what's happening with these pants here? Why are they on the floor and not in the basket? And he might say, oh, I just missed the basket or whatever. But you find out that it's habitual, okay? Me as the wife, what should I do here? And I think out of wisdom, God might say, just cover him and go throw it in the basket. He's going to do that every day when he take his clothes off. Just throw it in the basket. He having a difficult time adjusting to the change.
So then if he never adjusts, you just continue to do it every time?
And pray, child.
Oh, yeah, of course.
You want to pray.
Because if it's right next to it. Right.
God, touch his heart. Please, Lord, touch his heart.
And so I
touch it fast, Lord.
Yeah. I think that's the thing about it, in being single and learning just to communicate and be that. Because we also talked about resentment builds when you do stuff you don't want to do.
Right. Like picking up those pants.
Every single time.
Right.
Every day.
Yeah.
When in that scenario, he's more than capable of putting it in the dirty clothes. Mm-hmm. Right. And so sometimes in relationships, we say, if you let somebody know that they're doing something you don't like and they don't even try to make changes, it's like almost like they just don't care. They're not willing to change.
Yeah, you can look at it like that.
Right. And sometimes it can see the adjustment period that they're trying to make. And so you have to work through that. And so another one of my pet peeves, I don't like outside clothes on my bed.
Oh, this is so true. Wait, she doesn't like outside clothes on her bed, but nobody else's bed either. I just wanted to put that out there.
But I feel
it's not just your bed. You don't want somebody else sitting on their own bed in their outside clothes.
I just make a comment about it, but I am not going to sit on your bed with my outside clothes.
Right.
Because I sit in chairs, people stand in chairs. Well, we're not on the bus, but like if you're on the bus or doing all those things, like it's germs you just don't know. Yeah. And I want to have the ability to lay on my bed with my face on my comforter if I should choose to.
And this is all before COVID, not after. Sorry, I just want to throw that out there.
Yes, before COVID. And my grandma was like that. I couldn't even sit on her bed with my pajamas on. She's like, nah, you be all over the floor. But I just I get the idea of it. So, I feel like it's a little hypocritical for me to like have that mindset about I don't want to sit on my bed without my outside clothes on for all the reasons I just mentioned about nasty people sitting in chairs, standing in chairs, all of that, wherever you're sitting in. And then come and and do that to you. Now, it's okay if you do it because it's your bed. But I'm not going to do that because I feel like that's a little hypocritical. And I tend to not do things I wouldn't like done to me sometimes in relationships, right? So I know you made me one time.
But if the person that you're dealing with, I did make her. The person that you're dealing with, if they don't care about that, then what?
Well, that's fine if they don't care about it. So I don't have a problem. I'll grab a little blanket or something and sit at the end of your bed. right? Because I'm not on your bed. And so, yeah, and people know that. And then sometimes people that do it to just get on my nerves. I remember we went to Brazil one time on a mission trip, and they came in a room.
And sat on your bed? Oh, they should have the whole group should have just sat on your bed. Like all 10 of them. I don't. Okay, sorry.
You see how she want them to work on my triggers, but she don't want to be triggered, right? Terrible. Yeah, they did. And it's
I get triggered all the time.
I just had to take a deep breath because I was like, ooh, like they doing it to get underneath my skin. And it was working. I was like,
okay, so what did you do after that? Did it take you a long time to recover?
It did take me a long time to recover. When I knew they were doing it to get a reaction out of me, and I wasn't willing to give it to them.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
But I was just like, ugh. So I took a deep breath, and I was just like, I just really had to take some deep breaths and realize, even like, you know, if somebody has a wet carpet, I should be like, oh, like it's like I think about how I don't like it, but I don't hold on to it enough that it ruins my day. Mm-hmm. Right? Because I remember working for this particular company, and one of my employees, he was always just to say, like, make it a great day unless you got other plans.
Oh, I know that's right. I like that. I like that quote.
I was like, oh.
Make it a great day.
Unless you got other plans.
Unless you have other plans.
Right. So I'm making the choice every day about my great day. Right? Because I'm making it a great day.
Right.
Don't matter if I woke up on the left or the right side.
Right.
Right. No matter if they wet the floor or not. Yeah. Right. Because what I do when the floor is wet, I get a paper towel and do it. And I'm like huffing and puffing a little bit while I'm doing it. But after it's done.
Triggered.
Yes. But after it's done, I get in the shower and I move on my day. It's not going to hold it. But I also understand that person, it doesn't bother them. And so I am very grateful when I see that person making the adjustment, or at least attempting to.
Making an effort. Mm-hmm.
Right. Because it might be sometimes where the carpet is not wet or the rug is not wet. And I'm appreciative, and I'll say, hey, I really appreciate you making an effort not to wet it, because I know that's not what you do.
Right.
And then when it is wet, I just be like, oh, okay, maybe they're rushing it down. Or, you know, I just whatever. But I go on, and it doesn't hold me in that place, and I don't hold it against that person. But in the moment, it's like, you know, it teaches you to compromise.
You got to take a deep breath.
You do.
That's one of the ways. Okay, so we should discuss ways that to help yourself get through a trigger, right? Mm-hmm. So what you just said, a deep breath, is one of the ways to help yourself. Take a deep breath, think it through. This is your issue. And I think a lot of times we are thinking it's the other person's issue. It's not their issue.
Right.
It's your issue.
Because you are responsible for your feelings, your emotions, your reactions, and your responses.
Yeah.
It is not the other person's job.
Right.
So we always say it's not what happens to you, but how you respond to what happens to you.
Yes.
And so everybody else's feelings is not my challenge. It's not my concern. And I know I had to tell people that, like my mentees, sometimes I have to tell, you know, people when I did therapy, like, you can't control them.
Right.
So you only can control what you do.
Right.
And that's why I help people to see their choices, because I remember I was teaching a class, and one of my students was like, yeah, nah, she made me smack her. I said, she made you smack her. Now, like, nah, she said that. So, like, I had to do it.
Right.
No, you made the choice to do it. You could have walked away. But for whatever reason, that wasn't your reaction or your response.
Exactly. I remember when I had gone to we had gone to South Africa. I think we were there for 9 days.
Yeah.
We went to South Africa right after my anniversary is November 10th. Were we coming back?
We were coming back.
We were coming back.
We went the end of October and came back right before it. Like, before, yeah.
So we came back, we were coming back right before my wedding anniversary. And my husband, I just happened to overhear him talking about what he was planning to do when I got back from South Africa.
He was eavesdropping.
And so, no. I just was walking in that. I don't eavesdrop on it. I have a tendency to tune so much stuff out. Like, people could be talking in a room and I don't hear nothing they're saying because I'm gone somewhere else.
Okay.
But anyway, I was just walking in and someone was asking him, what are you doing for your anniversary? And he started talking and I was like, oh. So I waited until he got off the phone to let him know I would be very upset to come home from 9 days of being in South Africa and have to leave again and go somewhere for 7 and be away from my children for 3 weeks.
Okay.
that would not be like good for me.
Yeah, that would be happy anniversary.
No, I've already been away from my children for 2 weeks. So I don't want to spend more time away from them. Like, I need to have time with them, make sure they're okay.
And then you don't want to get right back on a plane after you've been on there for
17
hours.
Absolutely not.
Traveling.
17 hours on a plane, and then the next day we're going somewhere because it's anniversary. So I was like, babe, I really, I'm going to need rest when I come home from South Africa. So if we could celebrate it another time, or if we can just go out to eat and chill. I just need the less is more for this anniversary, just because of where it's landing at.
Okay.
And so I think communication, I think you mentioned that, we have to communicate with people, because that would have triggered me to anger. Had he had plans, I'd have been like, I ain't seen my kids but for 5 minutes. I just got home yesterday. Like, what is you?
Right.
I got a 5-year-old. What is you doing?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Why ain't you think about this? You know how I am about my children. I love them. No, but me being away from them for that long, especially like a younger child.
Yeah.
I think that's a lot. That's stress for the child. Whether they exhibit that stress or not. I've already been away 2 weeks, and I'm sure she missed me. I hope. But anyway,
it's good that you communicated, because in his mind, he wanted to do
the Holy Ghost for me to hear that.
He was, but he's thinking like, I want to do something special for her. I want to take her away where she could rest, or we could see an excursion, or be on a beach and stuff like that.
So his motives were great motives,
right?
But it was coming back to, it would have been my issue. His motives were awesome. You know what I'm saying? He had good intentions for the both of us.
Right.
But I would have been hot. Like, I was just on a plane for 17 hours. Like, I need a day of sleep.
Yeah.
And not on another plane to go somewhere else to sleep.
Yeah.
Like, I just want to get in my bed.
And some people don't consider that. It's not even just being on the plane, but we were in a different time zone.
Yes,
right? We're like 6-7 hours ahead of the US.
Yeah.
Right. So like, I'd be in the next day, you're still in this last day. And I have to adjust my sleeping and my resting back to this time. Yeah.
And the emotional trauma of missions.
Yeah.
Seeing on this missions, we saw homeless children. On this missions was emotionally, I would say, different for me than it was like going to Kenya or something like that. So you're not sure what you're going to experience when you go on missions.
Yeah.
Excuse me. You don't know what you're going to see. You don't know if it's going to be traumatic for you. The kids we saw, I have not forgot about them.
Yeah.
Like, I see their faces all the time. To have the thoughts now that children in Africa have AIDS.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And are dealing with that. Children, not adults. Like, we have an adult AIDS problem here in the U.S. We don't have a children AIDS problem. Yeah. You know what I mean? So to just be experiencing that too, you want to get the emotional break from that, and you need to recover.
Right. And you've made a lot of sacrifices over there. You have really been humbled. That's not all of Africa. Africa is beautiful. So I don't want you guys to feel like,
you're doing missions. So you're going to the worst places
And so you do have to deal with that and really kind of cope with that. And then, I think I also have a pet peeve when I come back from overseas, right? When I see how ungrateful people are.
Oh, right.
And how they waste food and they're so wasteful, and they complain, and nothing's ever great. And I'm like, I just been over here where they have nothing and they can do all these things. So I realized, and I think my first mission trip,
they literally can live off our waste. Sorry to say that.
It is. And they are so grateful, and they don't complain as much as we do. So when I come back from missions, I don't want to hear a complaint about I didn't like this for dinner.
Right.
Like, you have dinner. Like,
right.
You know what I'm saying?
Man,
like, I don't want to wear these sneakers anymore because the new ones are out.
Come on.
When they don't have shoes.
You're making me think about when we went to Kenya, and the lady that we went to in the bush. We went into the bush, and they had like a hut or whatever. And all they showed us where they sleep, right? Mm-hmm. So it's basically like the size of maybe 2 twin beds. That's the house. Okay. So that's the one we went to. It's the size of 2 twin beds, the whole house. Mm-hmm. Okay. They have a bed in there that they're sharing, and then they have like a mat, mm-hmm. and then they have like a pot where they're going to cook food and whatnot. Yeah. And they don't have like a refrigerator with food in it. Mm-hmm. Now, there were other places in Kenya where they had refrigerators, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But the one we visited, she's offering us food. And I thought,
how long has this been sitting up?
No, I thought, you don't have enough food to offer us.
Yeah.
Like, if it was me, right, I would be like, I ain't got enough to share. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But they're like, oh,
we're a guest.
You're a guest, and we're gonna make sure that you eat something. So we ended up not eating, thank God, because I was like, I just felt bad about the whole thing, period.
Why did you not eat? Because that's offensive.
Well, we ended up, it wasn't on purpose.
Oh, okay.
We just ended up going somewhere else with it. Like, they were happy to see us. They asked us if we wanted pictures. I mean, it was like a whole thing. I didn't even have my camera. They tell us, put your camera away.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Don't be taking pictures of them, all that. They asked us, like, hey, do y'all want to take pictures? And they started talking to us about stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So our conversations end up going kind of long. The lady made jewelry and stuff. We were looking at the jewelry, you know, and she even put a piece on me for the picture. I just thought the hospitality was absolutely amazing. And she didn't even have much.
Right. And she was willing to share.
She was willing to share.
Right. And wasn't thinking or wanting anything in return.
Nope.
Yeah. It's like that. So that's what I'm saying. When you come back here, and I think my first mission trip, Reverend Gerald was like, listen, y'all gotta, brace yourself to come back and stuff like that. And I didn't know what he was talking about, but like my first one, I was just like, y'all ungrateful. Like I was, and it was antsy, and you want to go off on people, but that is their norm.
Right. That's our norm here.
Yeah.
Excess and
right.
waste.
And, and stuff like that. And so it just teaches us to be mindful. So I think with emotional triggers, you're constantly adjusting and realizing, like you said, it is an issue for you.
Right.
Right. And how do I help that issue within me? Mm-hmm. Right. Because most times triggers are linked to something. I talked a lot about how I was raised and brought up.
Right.
That is what my trigger is right now.
Right.
Right. And I have to realize I'm working with somebody else from a whole different way of life, a whole different way of doing things, a whole different way of seeing things.
Yeah.
And I am trying to come into interaction and make 2 different people work together and maintain a relationship, whatever type that is.
Yeah.
And I think that we have to understand that and to be cognizant and to be mindful. And that's why compassion is so important.
Right.
That's why empathy is so important. And a lot of times when people do stuff, we think they're doing it ill-mannered or they're ill toward us personally, mm-hmm. and it's just how they are.
Yeah.
And so learning to accept people for who they are. Now, people can change and some things need to change, but that's a communication.
Right.
And sometimes when how you told me this, like when I change, I'm mad because everybody else taking a long time to get it together.
Right.
And so it's like, hey, it's not the same process.
Right.
Okay.
And God may have told you something that He did not tell them.
And
your focus just always needs to be you.
Yeah.
And that's one of so we have 5, what was it? It was 5
ways to deal with emotional triggers.
Okay, yeah. 5 ways to deal with emotional triggers. I'm like scrolling like, wait, what did it say in the beginning? I don't necessarily agree with all of this, but I'm going to say relaxing, mm-hmm. taking a deep breath, mm-hmm. like you said, this on here, it says detach, meaning like clear your mind of all thoughts. You don't want to clear your mind of all thoughts. You just want to clear them of all the negative thoughts. Especially when you are triggered by something, you might go into attack mode. Mm-hmm. So meaning you're thinking negative about that other person. Mm-hmm. You might not be physically attacking them, mm-hmm. but your thoughts are attacking them. Your mind is attacking them.
And it's creating a whole situation in your head about why they did it. And it's causing a frustration and discord between you and them. And it may not even be all that.
Yes.
So I think when they're saying detach, it's just like step back from the issue for a second.
Right.
And, regroup yourself.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They say center, drop your awareness to the center of your body just below your navel. So
yeah.
Yeah, no. But I get take a deep breath, relax, let's pull the thoughts together, right? And then focus on this is about you and it's not about them. Yes, they are making a choice that you don't like, mm-hmm. but we have to make sure that we are giving so much more mercy and grace to people, because we can't assume that someone is raised like us. We can assume that they know. And we say crazy stuff like, well, they ought to know better. Why? Why do they ought to know better? Because they weren't raised by the same people you were raised by. They didn't go to the same, let's say they didn't even go to the same church as you. Exactly, same school, have your same experiences,
right?
When exactly was they supposed to know what you knew?
Well, sometimes they feel like I done told you 3 times at work about not doing the round circular motion.
Right.
So they ought to know by now.
They ought to know better. But I think even in that case, I don't say they ought to know better, but I do say that they have to break their habit, and they're having difficulty breaking their habit. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it's like, on this job, we are about breaking habits. I say that when I do the first training. Here, it's about breaking habits. Unfortunately, you've come with a mindset about how to clean something, and I'm probably going to break that.
Mm-hmm. You're going to challenge that.
I'm going to challenge that. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And you can continue cleaning the way you want to at your house. Yeah. Just not at this house. Mm-hmm. And some people make really bad choices. Like, for instance, I remember there was some cleaners that we were cleaning a building, and they cleaned like part of the building, and we were coming in to clean another part. And the ladies were dipping their mops in the toilets for water. I was like, I didn't even want to step on the floor with my sneakers. I didn't even want to step on the ground with my sneakers, child. I was like, oh my gosh. And they're saying, they clean it out first, but they had a method of putting a mop in the toilet and mopping the floor. And I was like so freaked out by that.
No.
You know what I mean? So people have like what I would consider a nasty habit. They might consider it to be a convenient habit because they have a bucket of water there. So anyway, that's not necessarily a trigger, but I just thought that was gross.
Yeah.
That's nasty.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I think that's it. Like, just focus on yourself. Mm-hmm. I think I said that already.
Yeah, I think that's good. I think the thing to take away with emotional triggers is have compassion, communicate that it triggers you, or communicate your dislike for the situation. Right. But also look within you about why is it a trigger? Because why are you responding this way? Right. There is a root to everything, right? Mm-hmm. We don't just wake up and start doing something one way. Something was taught, something happened, something caused a situation. Mm-hmm. And so we start from that experience. We have moved on and created core beliefs, automatic thoughts, reactions, and behaviors that are associated with that one thing. And so it's good to center and focus because, okay, why am I responding this way? Right. Why am I letting it get to me? I remember one time I had a roommate, and she was older than me, but not much, but I really, really appreciated her. I remember she was doing something, and you know what she said to me that was so profound? You have to figure out why what I'm doing is bothering you. What was she doing that was bothering you? Oh my God. I don't remember. I do remember. remember. She had become a part of the ministry, right?
Okay.
And so she was kind of getting under mom and dad and doing all of that. And then I just felt
mom and dad, meaning your
bishop,
pastor
my pastor and co-pastor. And so, she had mentors and they were at a certain level and did things way. And I felt like it was always a comparison. And I felt like she would go the extra mile for them and wasn't going the extra mile for my pastors. And I felt some type of way about that.
Okay.
And I'm like, why do you do that? So like, we're having a conversation, but I'm kind of like, why you all out for them and do that and you don't do
So why did you feel some type of way? What was that about?
I don't know. I just felt like I just felt like the same honor and respect wasn't there.
Right.
Like I sensed like, it was like they do it this way, it's much better type thing.
Yeah.
And maybe she just liked the way they did stuff.
Yeah.
Which was okay.
Right.
It should have been okay. Right. But
it wasn't okay.
Right. But she said something that was so powerful. Like, you have to find out why what I'm doing is bothering you.
Yeah.
Because it had nothing to do with me.
Right.
I was doing and honoring and whatever the way I felt that was good for me. And so I take that same approach in life. Right. So I can't let what you do affect me when it's not me. And that even helped me even with mentoring, because sometimes it's like I'm working with them and I want them to get it and they go make a mistake that's the very opposite.
Oh my gosh, yes.
And then I'll be all frustrated and upset and oh my God, and Lord, please don't. And it's like, what? I can't control them. Right. The Lord doesn't control them. Right. So why do I think I would be able to? But that freed me. It freed me. And things didn't bother me as much. Yeah,
we do have a tendency to want to control everything and everybody. My God.
Right. And we can barely get ourselves together.
And then, even the thoughts of like, I think a part of it is humility too. Like, you think you know it all? Like, you don't know it all per se. You know what I mean? You might not necessarily know whatever the situation is. You don't know it all. Right. So their way, it makes me think about the scripture when the disciples came to Jesus and was like, I think they were casting out devils in Jesus' name, or they were.
Oh yeah. I know. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, they were. Yeah,
but they wasn't part of the disciples.
But they weren't part of the disciples, and he was like, as long as they're doing it, they don't have to be a part of us. You know what I mean?
Right. Like, this is the elite group and only we can do this, right? Because we very territorial. Right. We are. We like, this is the weird group and this is a thing that we do and nobody else can do that. Yeah. Yeah. Like, if they want to do that, like, what they're doing is not intimidating or making what you do any less valuable than it is.
And it's so good.
Right. And that's an insecurity. That you're feeling. Yeah. And something within you needs to work, because why you feel intimidated by what they're doing. Right. So that's why I like with the things that you read, it talked about focus and really like stepping back, detaching from it, because sometimes when we're so involved in something, we can't see things clearly. So when we step back for a second, it's like, oh, like, okay. And then it helps to deal with you. Like I said, you said it so perfectly. It's an issue with you. It's my pet peeve. It's not anyone else's. Right. And I only control what I do, not anybody else. Now, I can control what you do in my room, in my bed. Right. You know what I'm saying? But I can't make you not wet the mats. Right. I can't make you dry the sink out. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like, I would just dry it when I'm doing it. I can't make you clean the stove. I can talk about, hey, maybe we're going to have bugs if you don't wipe it off. Oh, Lord. You know what I'm saying? Right. But sometimes, like you said, I just be like, all right, let me just wipe it, and then I just clean the whole thing. And so you make those adjustments, but I think it is a conversation that still needs to happen so that you are not frustrated and resenting and angry with them all the time and they don't even know why you're mad. Yeah, child. I think what really gets us to is that they should have known better thing. Yeah. Like they might not know better. Right. And even what you telling them, habits are hard to break. And tell them how many years you've been doing. Habits are very hard to break. Right. And especially when you don't want to break the habit. If it's not something that's
really going to be hard. Then.
Right. Because it's something that you have to work on.
Because they might be thinking, it's unnecessary for me to do this.
Right. And I think it's necessary.
Right.
Because it bothers me.
Yeah. Well.
And that could probably have some selfishness. That's why I said there's a level of compromise that you have to have with anything. And people should try to accommodate. But sometimes you always can't. Right. Yep. Well, triggers. Let us know what your triggers are. Yes. Please like, share, and subscribe. Yes. Follow us on Instagram. at bntf.podcast.
And what is our Block Business Showcase? The brand is called Of Many Colors.
And it's nice and red. My favorite color.
This is a mask that's like all flowers. I thought it was just beautiful. Yep, they have an insert in the mask where you can put the, yep. There you go.
And then you have one on the other side.
Yep. Mm-hmm. So this is, the brand is called Of Many Colors. They have face bouquets. That's what this is. Floral masks. They come with 2 filters, and their website and their socials will be in the description box.
Yep.
And yep. So I thought that was so cute. I was thinking you could wear this with like a slim fitting dress with some stilettos,
like a solid color and stuff. In
I just thought that would be so cute. But anyway. All right. Thank you so much for watching us.
Right.
We so appreciate you. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.
Till next time.
Till next time. See you later. Bye-bye.